For pre-calculus lines, part 2, linear models and problem solving. The first kind of problem I got is find the equation of the line parallel and perpendicular to the given line and through the point. So hopefully you remember that parallel lines have the same slope. This is parallel, that those two double lines. I'll write the words out. Parallel lines, same slope. Perpendicular lines, slopes are negative reciprocals. So negative reciprocals would be like 2/3 and -3/2, where you flip the fraction upside down and change the sign from positive to negative. Okay. All right. So now that we got that down, I'd like to know the slope of this line. So I'm going to manipulate the equation, get y alone. Okay. So I'm going to subtract 4x, and I get -2y equals 3 minus 4x. Divide by -2. And I get y equals -3/2 plus 2x. So the slope is 2, okay? Not 2x, just 2. Use that highlighter. Just 2. So I did all that work to find out that, okay? Which might have been the bulk of the work in some ways, which means my new equation down here, for a line that's parallel, the slope will also be 2, and I need it to go through this line, which means I like the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 formula. Okay, I can plug in a point, the slope, okay, and I'm going to take, the x coordinate goes next to the x and the y coordinate goes next to the y. Here's the x coordinate, here's the y coordinate, so the 2 will go in next to the x, and the y is going to go down next to the y, and I'm there. Now, I should have written this down, but these should be in standard form for the answer, okay? Which means I got a little bit more work to do. I'm going to take my y minus 1 equals 2 times x minus 2. I'm going to put it into standard form. So I'm going to do distributive property with the 2. So y minus 1 equals 4x minus 4. And then I'm going to bring my x's to one side, subtract 4x. And I get y minus 4x. Maybe I'll add 1 at the same time. I can kill two birds with one stone. Okay, those cancel. 4x's cancel. -3. Y minus 4x equals -3. Except, of course, the fact that 2 times x isn't 4x, it's 2x, so that I should have been subtracting 2x here, which makes that not 4x, it should have been 2x, sorry about that. Y minus 2x equals -3, and that's the answer, okay? Remember, standard form is, you got your 2y plus x equals 7, whatever, y plus x. Got the x's and the y's on the same side, equal sign. You should have integer coefficients. If it's perpendicular, if my slope originally was 2, then perpendicular, that's the perpendicular sign, the upside down t there, will be what I get when I flip the slope upside down and change its sign. So this will be the new slope, okay? Now I also needed to go through that same point, 2, 1. All right, so I'm going to pop the point into 2, 1 as well. So once again, y minus equals m. My new slope goes here times x minus. The x coordinate. Okay, so I'm here. I got y minus 1. I put the y next to the y and the x next to the x. And then, now I can get rid of the denominator here. It'll make things a little cleaner. If I multiply this side by 2 and this side by 2, I only have to multiply the 1/2 by 2. Okay? I don't have to multiply what's in the parentheses also. Which means once I've done that, move some of this. What I get is I get 2y minus 2 equals -1 times x minus 2. Okay? And now if I multiply out that negative, I get -x plus 2 equals 2y minus 2. And then I bring the x's to one side. If I add x, I get 2y plus x. And then I can also do this in one move. If I add 2 and I add x, then I get 4. So I got 2y plus x equals 4 when you manipulate it into standard form. Okay? So there's that. Next, same kind of problem. And this is the equation. They want to know parallel, perpendicular. In fact, I got a couple of these going. So if I manipulate this equation, if I subtract 2x from both sides, I get -3y equals -2x plus 5, or 5 plus 2x. Divide by -3. I get y equals 2/3 x plus -5/3. The y-intercept doesn't matter. What does matter is that slope, which is 2/3. So my slope is 2/3. And if it's parallel, the slope will also be 2/3, okay? And I need to go through this point, 1, -3. So I can plug this in once again into that same formula. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y minus -3 is the same as y plus 3 equals 2/3 times x minus 1. Okay. Now, once again, I'd like to get rid of that denominator, so I'm going to multiply everything by 3. And then those cancel. And I got 3y plus 3 equals 2 times x minus 1. Bring everything to one side. Do distributive property. That's 2x minus 2. 3y plus 3. Subtract 2x from both sides and subtract 3. So I got 3y minus 2x equals -5. And that is my answer. Boy, I make a lot of mistakes. All right, so 3 times 3 turns out is 9, not 3. So I've changed a couple of these things. These 9s here, that was the only thing. So if I change those to 9s and then subtract 9 from 2 at the end, I get -11 instead of the wrong answer that I had before. Okay? All right, sorry about that. Next. Perpendicular. So if my slope was 2/3 before, if it's perpendicular, then it's going to be the reciprocal, and it'll be negative because this one's positive. So if I flip 2/3 upside down, I get 3/2. So that's my new slope, which means, and I still needed to go through that same point of 1, -3. So y minus y1, the y is -3 equals -3/2 times x minus the x coordinate of 1. And now I'm going to clean this up, get rid of the double negatives. So I get y plus 3. Maybe I can multiply, do this all in one step here. I'm going to multiply it by 2 so I can get rid of this denominator. Okay, so that's actually going to be 2y plus 6. Let's see if I can do it without making any mistakes this time. 2y plus 6 equals -3 times x minus 1. Okay, so This is negative 3x plus 3 equals 2y plus 6. And then I can add 3x, subtract 6, and I get 2y plus 3x equals negative 3. And that is the answer. Okay. This one's a little bit interesting because the equation is y equals 2. So if I was looking for, if I was to draw a quick graph of that, that would be, if here's 2 on the y-axis, then the line here is going to be a horizontal one going right through here, right through there, and which means the only thing that matters here, that new line, is going to be the 17. So it's going to be y equals something, and the something is going to be 17, which means if I was to graph it, it would be way up here somewhere. But that would be parallel, okay? It would be a horizontal line going through 17 on the y-axis. If it was going to be perpendicular, that would mean I want the line to go up and down here, right? Anything straight up and down, which means anything going straight up and down is an x equals kind of line. There's no y. And the only thing that we're going to need is the x-coordinate, and I'm getting it right there at negative 4. So there's your two answers for that one. That one's nice and easy. No work, no distributive property, no nothing. All right. The next one, I think I missed one here. The next one's a u-try. All right, so the next one's a u-try, and this is the one right here where it's the point that you have to go through is negative 2, 7, and the equation is x equals 3. All right, and I want you to come up with the parallel line and the perpendicular line for x equals 3 that goes through the point to negative 2, 7. All right, there's your u-try, and I'll move on. All right, next one. Find relationship between x and y such that a point xy is equidistant from 5, negative 2, and from negative 1, 4. All right, so I need a point that is equidistant, which means it's going to be, x, y. And I need something where the distance between these two is the same as the distance between these two, which means I'm going to use the distance formula, okay? So if I'll go x minus 5 squared plus y minus negative 2 squared. That would be the distance between these 2 points. That's got to equal the distance between the other 2 points, which will be x plus 1 or minus negative 1 from here, but it'll become plus 1 when I plug it in, plus y minus 4 squared. Okay, so I'm going to clean up that double negative over here, make that a plus. Okay, and this is the equation that I need to solve now. Okay, and then I can find out what x and y are, or what the equation of the line is, I guess, is actually what it's going to turn out to be. So first thing is, if I square both sides and I get rid of these radicals, then I'm left with the x minus 5 squared plus y plus 2 squared equals x plus 1 squared plus y minus 4 squared. Now I got to multiply all these things out. So first one is x minus 5 squared. So to do a perfect square, square the front number. I'm going to put a minus there. And then the last number squared will be 5 squared is 25. And then to get the middle term, multiply the two terms together and then double it. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Double it is negative 10x. Okay, so that's that one. The next one is the y plus 2 squared. So that's y squared. The last term will be 2 squared is 4. The middle term will be y times 2 doubled, which is 4y. All right, now I'm doing the right side. And you could do these by FOIL. I just happen to know the formula. I'm thinking you might benefit from hearing it. X squared plus and plus for 1. Whoops, 1 squared is 1, not 11. And then to get the middle term, multiply these two together and then double it, which is 2x. All right, last one. Do pink. Y minus 4 squared, so that's y squared minus and plus. 4 squared is positive 16. Y times negative 4 is negative 4y. Negative 4y doubled is negative 8y. And there's my middle. All right, so, whew, man, I got a big equation. Okay. All right, here comes some cool stuff, though. Now, if I subtract x squared, those are gone, those are gone. If I subtract y squared, those are gone, those are gone. All right, so already this is looking a little better. Let's see, I can combine 25 and 4, that's 29, which leaves me with negative 10x plus 4y plus 29 equals 2x minus 8y plus 1 plus 16 is plus 17. Now I can bring all my x's to one side here. Let's see, I will subtract 2x. Actually, I'll add 10x, I'll make them all positive. I will subtract 4y. I'll bring my numbers to the left side. So these are gone, these are gone. I got 29 equals 12x minus 12y plus 17. The last step is subtract 17 from both sides. Running out of space. So I got, that's 29 minus 17 is 12 equals 12x minus 12y. Or, what's even better is if I divide all those by 12, I get 1 equals x minus y. That's really the best answer. But if you give me that one, I'll take that one too. But I would prefer the other one. All right. Okay. All right. So that was that one. Next problem. I got 2 of these. These are my last 2 problems. All right. Given the value V new is $1,200 and it depreciates at a rate of $125 a year. So the original value is $1,200. It goes down $125 per year. Write a function for the new value of the item at any time t. All right, so this one. So if I have t as time, then I'm gonna over here I'm gonna have v of t, like f of x kind of thing. The value of t will be v of t. Okay. Now it started out at $1,200. So if it goes down $125 a year, after 2 years it would go down $250, right? After 3 years it would go down $375. So I'm taking that 125 and multiplying it by t. Okay. So I'm going to take 125 times t and subtract it from the original value. Okay, and that will give me my function. So like I said, after 2 years it would go down 250, which would make it 950. All right, so what time is the value of the item 0? So if I went like this and I went 0 equals 1200 minus 125t and solve this equation, this will give me my answer. This is easy. I just add 125t to both sides. I get 1200 equals 125t. Divide by 125. And I'll get my answer of t equals 9.6 years. Okay. I want a graph, big fancy graph. Okay. So if I went like this, Let's see. If I rewrote this, I went negative 125 t plus 1200. Means the y-intercept is 1200. Put that right up here. See how perfect I'm going to be on this graph. Here's 1200. And the x-intercept will be what you get when you plug in 0 for y, which we already did, which is down here at 9.6. And there's my linear equation going right through there, right like that. Okay, there's your graph. All right. So, okay, last problem. Same kind of problem. This one's the cash flow per share. It says the cash flow per share for the Timberland Company was 0.18 cents in 1995 and is $4.04 in 2003. Write a linear equation that gives the cash flow per share in terms of the year. Let T represent 1995 and then predict the cash flow for the years 2003 and 2013. Okay, so I'd like to have an equation for this. A linear equation, which means if I was to take, this is the year 1995, so we're starting 1990. For each year after that, you add 1. So 5 is really 1995. 10 would be 2000. 2013 would be 1990, would be 23 years between 1990 and 2013. All right, so it's 5 and 0.18. The other point we have is the 2003, which is 13 years after 1990, and 4.04. So I need the rate of change, all right, which is slope. So the first thing I'm going to do is do my slope of 4.04 minus 0.18. This is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, okay? And when you punch that into there, you get 3.86 over 8, which is 0.4825. Be exact with that. Okay, so next, that's my slope. And now I want an equation, okay? So I'm going to use the same thing, y minus something equals the slope, which is 0.4825 times x minus. I'm going to use one of the points. You could use either one, really. I'm going to go with this one. I kind of like the 5. So that's y minus 0.18 and x minus 5. And then if I quickly switch this to distributive property, bring everything to one side, I get so y equals 0.4825 minus 2.2325. So that's the equation you get when you multiply out, do distributive property, bring everything to one side. In this case, we're actually talking about profit and year, so P and time, which means that, this is the profit and this is the time. So if I was to go switching these variables around, I could plug in P for Y, right, which will give me my profit. And I can, I missed the variable on this one completely. That wasn't so good. And this would be your T. That was your X, okay? All right, so there's the profit time equation. And now that I've got that, I can find out anything just by plugging in the number I want for T. So the first year they said was 2003, which means 2003 minus 1990 is 13. So I'm going to plug in 13 for T. 0.4825 minus 2.2325 will give me my profit, which will give me an answer of, so when I punch that in my calculator, I get 4.04, and that was for 2003. And if I take that same equation and I plug in, the second one was 2013, so that means If 2003 was 13, this one will be 23 for t. P will equal 0.4825 times 23 minus 2.2325. And when you punch that into my calculator, 0.4825 times 23 is 11.0975 minus 2.2325. I get my answer of 8.86. And that's it